the weight of their presence, how we carry our parents in Pakistani society. My earliest memory of learning about parents is not from a book, but from watching my cousin rise from his seat when his father entered the room. He wasn't asked to. He just did it automatically. I was 6. That gesture, small as it seemed, carried the weight of everything our world believes about the people who bring us into being. In Pakistan, your parents are not just family. They are your compass, your safety net, your identity. The treatment of parents is not merely a personal virtue, but a collective performance of cultural memory, stitched into daily life through 1,000 quiet acts of deference. The unwritten curriculum of respect growing up. We didn't have parenting workshops. We had observation and correction, the sharp glance from an auntie when we answered back to our mother. The certainty that when my father walked into a room, his seat would be vacated. Conversation would pause. The Quran commands us to treat parents with excellence beyond duty. We learn this not through theology, but posture. I watched my mother rub my grandmother's feet at night, not because she demanded it, but because it was as natural as preparing dinner. I saw my father hand over his entire salary to his father, until age 45, receiving back only small pocket money. What strikes me is how early this training begins. By age 4, we learn to touch elders' feet as greeting. By 7, we understand that a parent's word shapes the riverbed of our choices. The concept of talking back barely exists in our vocabulary. There is only listening, and if absolutely necessary, respectful disagreement after much consideration. The architecture of Karoa homes are built for this intergenerational contract. The ideal Pakistani household remains, in its heart, a joint family system, even in separate houses. My parents built next to my father's parents, not because they couldn't afford elsewhere, but because nearby meant present. When my grandmother's weak age issues worsened, my mother moved into her kitchen. When my grandfather developed physical weaknesses, my father slept on a cot beside his bed for 2 years. This physical proximity creates a different intimacy than scheduled Sunday visits. Presence is ambient, not appointment-based. The mother who lives with you doesn't need to call for help. She simply raises her voice slightly, and someone appears. The father, who is ceded financial authority but not moral authority, continues to sit at the head of the table. Not because he demands it, but because everyone orients around his silence. The weight of decision. But this beautiful architecture has shadows. In medical crises, the respect that oils daily life can become a barrier. When my elderly aunt needed surgery, the surgeon explained the procedure not just to her, but to her husband, eldest son, and eventually her brother-in-law. The question, "What does the patient want?" was met with confusion. She wants what's best for the family. Of course, decided by those who have always decided such things. A close elderly woman of mine, however, sometimes has found this excruciating. She has watched women die because the decision to transfer hospitals was delayed while families consulted patriarchs. She has seen mothers accept treatment plans determined by mothers-in-law, who still believe in spiritual healers. The same filial piety that ensures an aging father is never alone can paralyze a daughter-in-law as autonomy over her own body. This is where our values strain against modernity. The command to not say oof to your parents sits uncomfortably beside medical realities requiring urgent individual consent. We have mastered care, but are still learning agency. The quiet revolutions, what gives me hope, are the small rebellions within the system. My sister in Islamabad has negotiated a truce. She seeks our mother's advice on everything, but final decisions about her children's schooling belong to her and her husband. My cousin, elsewhere, video calls his father daily, maintaining presence across distance, creating a new filial duty that honors the spirit, if not the letter, of proximity. I watch my own children navigate these waters. When my son questioned why we couldn't order pizza because Nani said we should eat leftovers first, I saw the future. He wasn't being disobedient, he was being logical. In a way his Karachi-born father never was at his age. The next generation is synthesizing respect with reason, creating a hybrid love that speaks up when it must, but gently. The unfinished prayer. Once I watched my father struggle to stand from his prayer mat. Without thinking, I moved to help. He waved me away angrily, almost as if my assistance accused him of weakness. Later, my mother explained, "He doesn't want you to see him needing help. He wants to remain your father, not become your burden." That is the heart of it. Our treatment of parents is not about duty alone, but the impossible attempt to repay a debt never meant to be repaid. We rub their feet. We hand over our salaries. We cancel our plans because we are trying to honor something that cannot be measured in transactions. In Pakistani society, we treat our parents with a mixture of reverence and responsibility that outsiders mistake for obligation. But from the inside, it feels like gravity, the force that holds our world together. Invisible, constant, and absolutely necessary. We care for them, not because we must, but because, in ways we cannot articulate, we understand that caring for them is how we remain fully human. The seat my cousin vacated for his father all those years ago was never really empty. It remains filled with every ancestor, every teaching, every unspoken prayer that says, "You were here first. You are the reason we are here at all."